Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us here today at Harrisburg City Hall. This is an exciting moment for Harrisburg as we take another important step forward in shaping the future of our community through the revitalization of a city landmark, which is the Broad Street Market. Today, we are here to celebrate the collaboration, the innovation, and a shared vision for progress. I am thrilled to welcome you all as we unveil plans that will have a lasting impact on our city. Through complete transparency, each month or after each meeting, I will continue to share with you our progress on this priority project. At this time, I am pleased to introduce Rebecca McCormick, Peter Colello, Deborah Reinhardt, and David Baker, who all have been a part of this progress. And they have been instrumental in bringing this vision to life. Dave, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. You gotta love getting older. So to my left, you can see we have the most current renderings possible for the Broad Street Market reconstruction project. We wanted to make sure that we showed these renderings today to kind of inform the public that although we do have the entire campus of the project in our thoughts and we're working towards upgrading and getting everything to where it needs to be to meet modern day standards, our focus is on the brick building itself, where we did have the total loss where the fire occurred itself. One of the many things we want to mention today is the fact that we are focusing on that first. We are not letting anything else slow us down, even though we are working on multiple different fronts at the same time. In this rendering itself, you can see the middle portion of the building here. We have a mechanical room that's actually underground, so it won't have any sort of historical significance as far as changing that, but it's also going to allow us to be as cost effective or cost efficient as possible whenever we're upgrading the mechanics to each building, because it is the mayor's wish to have full air conditioning and heating throughout both of these buildings, along with ADA upgrades, so we are completely accessible to everyone, no matter what ability you are. We also will have fire suppression throughout the campus, each individual building, because obviously no one wants to see anything happen as it did before. So, we have that and many, many other upgrades that we're hoping that we're going to be successful with throughout this project. We do have some very rough dates. Just so it's said, the middle building that we're proposing right now, it is a very rough draft. It's kind of a placeholder. I don't think that we have any, specifics that are set in stone as of now, other than we are trying to expand the footprint somewhat. We're trying to do it in a respectful way, and we're trying to do it in a cost-effective way that will allow the market to thrive, allowing them more space, more opportunity, and hopefully more ways to serve the public while doing this construction. I can tell you that the bid packages, we're hoping to go out between June and August of 2025, and then September 1st, we're hoping to start construction of this project itself. The other thing that I'd like to mention for the public is that towards the end of April, we'd like to host a event that will allow both local small contractors and large firms, both alike, to come and communicate with the city and really understand the ins and the outs of the bid process and how to bid on these types of jobs and what's required to do something of this nature, because it is the city's hope that we can connect both our large and our small contractors and get everybody, especially locally, interested in a project such as this, because we want to connect the residents of Harrisburg with the construction and a building that they've utilized for many, many years. So with that being said, is there anything that...
I just want to clarify the date.
Yes.
Can you just go back and read the date that you said you wanted to have the drawing ready? The first date that you
It's
read.
June
June, oh, I'm sorry, I must have a typo here. So June 1st of 2025 is when we'd like to have the completed drawings for the project. June 1st, I apologize, yep. Yep. It's a Jan, yep.
The day after that, you said?
It would be, so June through August, so that would be whenever we'd like to put out the actual bid plans for contractors. And then September 1st of 2025 is where we'd actually like to start, that's our goal for starting construction on this project.
And by start construction, do you mean starting on the brick building first?
Yes. So the brick building, as I said, that is our priority, and that is what we will be starting construction on. The other buildings, the stone building, would be our second priority. So once we have things underway and we have funding for the stone building, we will start on that. If it can happen at a similar time to the brick building, if the logistics work out, we can start at the same time. It's possible we might hold off on the stone building upgrades until the brick building has been complete. Just for the pure and simple fact that we don't want to dishouse any sort of vendors, because if they need a place to sell their goods, the public needs a place to buy those goods. So there's a lot of thought going into this when we start construction and, what projects and what phases we're taking.
It seems like you're still hedging your bets in terms of thinking about the new structure and the stone building in addition to the brick building. There are folks, as I'm sure you know, in the market community who just don't want to hear about anything else until they say just focus everything on the brick building.
Mm-hmm. So what I...
What's that? Is there some benefit to thinking about it?
Absolutely, yeah. So I think the response to that is, as far as the market vendors go, it's important that they know that our focus is on the brick building, and everything we've done to date has been to, as expediently as possible, get the brick building back up and running. But we are paying the construction firms and we are paying the architectural firms to come up with multiple plans all at the same time. It's not one individual thinking about one thing at a time and then going to the next. They have teams of people that are working on this. So we're not letting any of these additional possibilities slow us down. The first thing anyone's going to see work on is going to be the brick building. We're not going to start working on any sort of upgrades to a different building until we start the brick building itself. So that. So all right. So right. The point the mayor is making here is that the roof on the stone building itself is completely deteriorated in certain portions. It is leaking, and it has been an issue for years. The Broad Street Market has secured some funding, and they will be working with the city of Harrisburg to get that roof replaced. When that happens, we will take into account the upgrades that will eventually happen to that building, so we won't basically do the same construction job twice. But that just kind of lends itself to the fact that we need to look at the entire envelope of the whole campus while we're doing this, instead of just looking at one piece and then the next piece and the next piece. Because we're
timeline on that building, on the stone building?
we are not to that point. We just got notice that that they've received the funding, so we don't have the timeline yet, but we are actively working on that in addition to the other project.
This rendering up here looks a little bit different from the renderings that we saw just a couple weeks ago. They seemed a little bit more detailed. I'm just curious how much money has been spent on all of these renderings so far, where that money's coming from. It just doesn't seem like you guys really have a clear, thought-out idea of what's going to happen here.
Well, so what I can tell you is that we are in the infancy stage of this project, so the renderings will continue to change. I would say, if not month by month, possibly week by week, because we are getting more information on a regular basis. So you will see change renderings. The cost of the overall project, it's not increasing because of the renderings. If they look different, that's part of the process, and that's the way it's supposed to happen. So that's completely normal.
So what are we looking at then with the brick building there? And, can you walk us through what that's gonna look like? And is that gonna change?
Sure. I'm going to pass the microphone off to our architects from Murphy and Dittenhafer.
Or actually, before you mind if I just ask one thing?
No, go ahead.
With respect, why are we in the infancy stage a year and a half after the fire?
Is that something you'd like to answer, Mayor, or do you want me to take a swing at that? So, I think that the answer to that would be, as far as government goes, it takes time. You know, we have our environmental studies that we have to do. We have funding streams that we have to establish. We're working with the insurance companies. We at the city, we're working with city council as well on all these different areas. We have to have a lot of people agree on a lot of things before we can start moving forward with it. We as a city, our number one focus for a fairly significant amount of time was to get those vendors rehoused in temporary housing so they could start serving the public again. And the city staff, we have a minimal staff. You know, we don't have a large amount of people to do something like that. So we've been working at this. There's not one day that goes by that we do not work on Broad Street Market, different aspects of the Broad Street Market.
And where is the funding coming from that you guys have been using for all the design aspect, the rendering, everything that is being done up until this point?
Is that from insurance or somewhere else?
So as far as funding goes, we have a funding stream here. I actually have a map that we've received funding from. I will read this to you here. We did receive $5 million from our insurance company so far. This will be reimbursement funds, so not everything we do will be paid for by insurance, but we are hoping a significant amount of this work for the brick building will be. We have $2 million in the fund from the Economic Development, or the MOAD fund in the city of Harrisburg. We have the host municipal fee that we've received $500,000 from, and then we have $650,000 from the CDBG funding from the city. So that gives us a total of $8.25 million that we have to date for this project. The other thing I can tell you is in 2025, we were successful with budgeting $5.5 million in the general fund for the brick building reconstruction as well.
So where is the money being pulled from, I guess?
So
up to this point?
to this point, we have money in the general fund, and the general fund money pays for the upfront costs, and then any costs that are eligible are reimbursed by our insurance company. So we put those reimbursement requests into the insurance company.
And I always want to interrupt the Tyler, was asking the question about walking us through.
So as David was saying, the brick building rehabilitation is the #1 priority item in this campus sort of master plan. But we do need to look at the whole plan cohesively so that we can plan ahead and think through how we handle mechanical systems, how we handle electrical and plumbing, and upgrading the safety and security of both buildings. But the brick building, the masonry walls remain. They need some stabilization, but our intention is to fully restore the exterior of the brick building so that it preserves the historic integrity of the building. The inside is going to be fully upgraded and renovated and reorganized to maximize vendor space. So the pavilion that we're proposing and the mechanical spaces, the central plant that's going to go below grade will free up space in the brick building where we would typically need a good amount of mechanical, electrical, plumbing space, infrastructure space within the building. We want to take it out of that building and put it centrally so that it can serve both the brick and the stone building. So that's why we have to think through these things ahead of the game. But the intention is to maximize vendor space in the brick building. We're also designing approximately 1,300 square foot mezzanine that's going to go in the brick building. And that will be used for public seating.
With the brick building, the space obviously is going to be something that vendors will notice as people go in there once this thing gets rebuilt. So what's one of the first things people are going to notice that's different? Like, is it going to be a re-promise that's going to look exactly the same as it previously did? Like, what's some of the things that people will notice?
The structure and the feel will feel like it did historically. We're going to preserve all those historical elements to the best that we can. We know that the wood structure in the burnt section isn't standing anymore, but the intention is to rehabilitate it, to preserve that feel, but improve the layout, improve the vendor size and spacing and configuration. So we're thinking through the circulation patterns, the vendor stalls, so that they can have flexibility to grow. We're looking at modular vendor stalls. So the stalls themselves and the layout and the way you move through the space will likely feel different and hopefully better than it did before.
Have you had conversations with the vendors about this yet? What are they saying about your plans?
So we don't have plans per se yet. That is what we're working on now. We have various options and studies that we've been working through.
You want me to answer?
Yeah, okay, come on.
All right, so we have met with Eric Hackerty from the Broad Street Market Alliance. We've also met with Deborah Rehart and myself have met with the market vendors themselves. And I can tell you, the market vendors do have some frustration, but they have been displaced, and they are in a hard time in their careers right now. We are doing our best to try and keep them updated with the information, but it's also something they have to understand that we are in the very beginning stages of this process. So we don't have, we don't have structural plans or actual blueprints or any, concrete, this is exactly the way it's going to happen. So we can't necessarily share that information with them. But the information that we have started working on right now, we're doing our best to circulate what we can as soon as we can. But obviously it's better to not circulate information if it's not correct than to give people, the wrong information. So we're doing our best to kind of balance those two.
Okay.
Guesstimate of when you think the brick building will be up and running?
Yep. I think it's right here. Got too many papers here. So we have. Here we go.
May 1st, 2027. Yes.
Correct.
And let me just say this, our focus is on the brick building. You keep asking questions about the brick building. We've told you several times over that. Our focus and our priority is the brick building. Our focus is on making sure the vendors get back into that building and safe, and make sure it's done correct. So we are going to do a monthly report to the news to let you know step by step what we do and how we do things. You will get additional renderings. So we're going to keep everybody updated, because I've heard a lot of confusion out there about what the brick building is going to look like. We're going to start with the middle, we're going to start with the stone. No, priority is the brick building, and we have to focus on all areas of the market. There is a need, a priority need for us to do the roof immediately.
Respectfully, I think that there's confusion because you guys have shown us a lot of different things in a short amount of time. It seems like there are a lot of ideas out there, and I think that
Of course, we're in the planning stages, and we're going to continue to show you. We want to be transparent. It's not like we're doing things and I have to ask 50,000 of our residents, for their opinions. We want to get things moving.
So when do you hope to have the blueprints done for the brick building?
Yes.
It's
No, come up here. Come up.
roughly June 1st, 2025.
Okay.
With the brick building, I thought I remember there being like possibility of opening, like doing it in 2 phases. Because I know the back end of the
Yeah.
brick building was more heavily damaged. Is there still a chance that like the front half could be done first? Or?
So we did discuss phasing the project out, but again, we've taken that into account, and the timeline for phasing the project compared to doing it as a whole entity at once, it would, I wouldn't say exponentially increase the amount of time, but it would definitely increase the time that the vendors would be displaced. So everything we're doing right now is focused on how quick can we get them back in there and make everything the way it's supposed to be. So yes, you are correct. We did talk about phasing. But as of right now, it does not make sense for us, time-wise, to phase this project.
Mayor Williams, what's your assessment of how things have gone in the 18 months since the fire?
Be perfectly honest with you, I wish it had been a little bit more quicker. We've had a lot of stalls here. You know, of course, you know, City Council kept us at bay for a while. But we're trying to move, quick as we can without, interruptions from anyone, because now I'm hearing from the public, oh, I didn't have an opportunity to tell you what I wanted, what design I want. Well, I don't have time to do that. Right now, I have to be really careful about what I do, how I do it, and how I spend the money, and make sure that we get additional grant and funding for this.
I know right after the fire, Governor Shapiro joined
Yes.
you and said, that he was all in on helping to get this market rebuilt. Has there been any conversations with the governor's office? Is there any, hope that the state is gonna help with funding or in any other ways at this point?
Yes, he has, his executive assistant has been speaking with me periodically regarding the Broad Street Market. I have a meeting set up in the next couple of weeks with the governor to let him know what our plan is. And I'm going to show him all the additional money and funding that we need at this point and what we have spent to date.
Do you have an idea of how much additional you're gonna need from the state?
Roughly around about $9 million additional funding.
That's what you're gonna ask from the state?
I'm going to ask them for everything I can get, not just 9. I might go for 20, Get a, but that's for the entire project, I may, whatever he can give. He has been open, he has, at the one swearing in, I seen the governor, and he has asked and requested, when are you going to come see me? And so we've just recently set up the meeting to talk with him. This is a priority, and he's really concerned. He's been asking periodically, where we're at and, what our plans are. So I'm going to give him a whole package when I go meet with him.
And so it looks like insurance isn't gonna cover everything with the rebuild.
Not at this point. And then keep in mind, too, it's not our responsibility that they did not have insurance on the Broad Street Market. They let the insurance lapse, and I did not know that. I was not made aware of that till at the last moment.
So what do you mean by that? Does it mean we didn't get as much insurance money as we could have?
Well, if they would have kept their insurance, we certainly would have been able to use their insurance as well.
I mean,
And by that, you mean the BSN Alliance?
Right. I was not aware until we had this fire that they allowed their insurance to lapse.
And they had additional insurance on top of what the city had on the building?
Exactly.
Okay, so I just want to make sure we're clear.
But that was not any fault of the Broad Street Market Alliance. It was the fault of the manager. Yeah, the former manager.
We've all known.
Right, the former manager. We don't call any names, but the former manager.
Yeah.
Yes,
Gotcha.
okay? So we're doing the best we can with, what we have, and we're still out there asking for grants and asking for funding. We'll continue to do that as we move along with this process.
We spoke with Representative Davidson, Senator Kim, I think it was a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And they said they signaled support that they would vote for additional grant money and stuff like that for the market. What conversations have you had with them, especially as the governor starts putting the budget request together?
Be perfectly honest with you, I have not had one conversation with Representative Mattson or Senator Kim to date.
Are the renderings that we saw a couple weeks ago when we were upstairs, are those still in play?
The option that you see?
Yeah.
Yes, the
Are they
option.
still accurate to show those
Yes.
renderings as well?
That option is the one that we selected as a board, as a team here.
This is kind of more just overarching.
Right.
Do you expect that the brick building would house like the same amount of vendors?
Yeah, more. More.
And you don't have a specific number on that yet?
Not this time.
That's later on down the line. Okay. No additional questions. I thank you all for coming today, and we will see you next month.